Cinematography tip of the night. We're talking Tiffen, black fog, night fog, and soft glow filters. Frickin' amateurs, only one guard. All right, let's move out. Ready? All right, we've taken control of the whole Tiffen night filter arsenal, and we have our amazing actors, Kira and Devante. Thank you so much for playing along with the whole Navy SEAL intro. And Isaac, loved you. Chop! We took him out. All right, so let's jump into this. We're gonna start with a 21 mil Optimo Prime, and we're gonna start with our night fog. Now, what I try to do is this. I always try to break it first because that's where you kind of find your sweet spot by going too far. If you go too little, then you really don't know what the true effect of this filter is. So we have 1/8 all the way up to a 2. Yeah, let's break it. We're gonna go night fog 2 on this 21, just to see what this filter is gonna deliver for us. Whoa, that is heavy. This is too extreme for sure. I mean, it does look like the fog is rolled in San Francisco, but unfortunately, we're in Woodland Hills. Okay, so let's take this one out and we will try, let's jump down to a 1. Whoa, a little too San Francisco Bay again. I mean, look at how it's bringing up all the detail, but it's a little too mushy. And now we'll go to a 1/2 night fog. Still a little too extreme. I'm looking, I mean, it's amazing how it just takes that contrast and just cuts it, you know, really lifts the blacks, kind of turns them into a chalky gray tone, but again, still too heavy. Let's try a 1/4. Okay, we're kind of getting there, but it feels just still a little too heavy. All the way down to the 1/8. Now I feel like it's in the pocket. So we're getting that nice kind of chalkiness, but it's not too extreme. And I'm loving how it's blooming the highlights. You're even giving a really kind of cool striation going on there. It almost looks like a semi-star filter, you know, if you like that or not. But yeah, I see how it's lifting the blacks. And, you know, if I wanted to go for that kind of foggy night, then I think the 1 was right in the pocket. But for just normal filtration that you're not trying to create a night in the San Francisco Bay Area, I think this is looking sweet. So that's our night fog. Now we're gonna move on to the black fog. So once again, this goes all the way up to a 2. So we're gonna try to break it again with a 2. Okay, the night fog is more specular, so it's almost like a white pro mist. So it's picking up a lot of that detail in the blacks and chalking it out. The black has more of a black tone, not a white pro mist, but more of a black dust. This is giving us and adding us contrast. So the 2 looks like the 1/8 on the night fog, right? But I think this is a little heavy at a 2. So let's go to the 1. Okay, that's looking really nice. What I love, look what it's doing with Devante's skin tones. It looks really stark and contrasty, and this just takes the edge off. But again, I feel it's just a little too heavy. So now we'll go to the 1/2. That's looking really nice. We're getting that nice bloom from all of the parking lot lights. It's opening up and softening Devante's contrast on the darker side of his face, and the sheen just rounds out beautifully on darker skin tone. This filter I'm really loving for that type. And it's making Kira, it takes that harshness with the nose shadow that's in here and just softens that all up, even on the wide. So say, okay, you're still feeling this is a little heavy. All right, no problem if you feel that way. So now we're gonna go black fog quarter. The effects there, it's a little lighter. It's not lifting Devante's skin as much, but it is, you know, it's subtle. I would go with this. I love the bloom. I love how it's creating that slight haze. And again, if you don't have smoke, if you're trying to create that kind of, you know, mist in the air, the moisture in the air, the humidity of the night, this is really starting to deliver that. And there's a lot of times where, I mean, this looks nice, but it looks damn stark. And when you put this on, it just softens it out enough to round out the contrast and make a really beautiful image. And now let's dive into the soft glow. These are kind of my favorite. Once again, we're gonna break it with a soft glow 5. You can kind of see, it's almost like glimmer glass. Very subtle. So you're getting that glow. I love what that, the tall street light is doing. You know, that's really nice. It's filling in the shadows really nicely, giving us a beautiful tone on Devante. See how it just takes the contrast and just knocks it down, smooths it out, and that's a 5 on a 21. Soft glow 4, coming in hot. Okay, not bad. A little more subtle. Still lifting those mid-tones, chalking out the blacks, kind of where the highlights pick up. Still love what it's doing to that street light. You know, you got that whole specular quality to it, and it just rounds it out ever so nicely there. So I'm loving what that's doing. Soft glow 3 going in. Again, a little more subtle. Lifting the mids nicely, giving us that kind of slight chalk in the blacks. All right, let's keep on going. I'm loving it. Now we go to. Okay, so now we're getting obviously a little less on the glow. And again, I just want to reiterate this. Wide lenses, higher number. Longer lenses, smaller number. So if I'm going on a 100, I'm definitely going to go into the quarters and the eighths and the halves. If I'm going on a wide lens, I'm going to be 5, 4, 3, up in that range, right? Because the wider lens sees much more of the area. When you go on a tighter lens, you're going through more diffusion. So that's why you have to lower the density, right? So the higher the number, the wider the lens. I mean, this one is so nice in what it's doing to the blacks. We're not getting so chalked out, but it's giving depth and dimension that the image would not have unless we put that filter in. The area that I'm specifically looking at is right here. This is giving that depth and dimension, because when I go out, it's just black back there. But when I slide that in, I'm getting that nice, you know, slight glow from the fixtures that's filling in that nice, giving a slight chalkiness in the blacks. All right, let's go to the 100 mil. So the big thing I want to show you here is obviously the contrast, right? So when we go with these fogs, we're going to be going and seeing how well it reacts to the dark skin tone as well as Kira's kind of lighter skin tone. So we really showed that with the night fog, it's like a white pro mist. And I'm telling you, it happens fast. Like we put the 2 on, it was like, oh my God, it was way too extreme. So we're gonna start with an 1/8. Now that we have 100 mil, remember, the tighter the beam, the more compressed, the lower the number, right? So we gotta see if this is gonna work even on this 100. So let's just go up to a 1/2. Let's see if we break it that way. Yeah, see, that's milking it out too much. And also, I'm also looking at his eyes. When that filter goes in and you're too heavy, you start to lose the focus of that ping in his eyes. We got this beautiful J hook creating this so you can see that nice light in his eyes, and already it's starting to defocus it. So I would say this is too far. So maybe the 1/4 is the sweet spot. I don't know. It's still, even at the 1/4, I'm feeling like it's just milking the blacks out pretty extreme on that. I'm losing that contrast. It just looks too milky. I think we were exactly in the right spot with the 1/8. Yes, I see, that's really nice. I love what it's doing. See how it just takes the whole edge off of all the contrast on Devante's face. It just smooths it out and gives you a really nice tonalities. Now, if I go over here with Kira, look how it's lightening up her eyes, filling in her eyes so nicely. You know, because we got stark contrast there, but now it just softens that all up, and it also cools it slightly. So I would say the night fog almost has a cool tone to it, because like there, it's not as cold, and when I put that filter in, it's definitely cooling those skin tones up a little. So with night fog, you got to see it's got that cool edge. But I think this is beautiful. Just what I'm seeing with her eyes, lightening up this whole area in here so it's not so contrasty. And again, works so well with Devante. Okay, let's move on to the black fog. Okay, so the black fog, we saw we could really kind of hit it fairly hard. So let's try to break it with a 2 again. No, too milky. So we know we've gone too far with the 2. Let's see how it feels with the 1. Not bad. Let's see how it's looking with Kira. Still a little too bloomy for me. So I'm gonna go to the 1/2. Okay, that's nicer, because what was happening with Kira with that light back there, the bloom was almost taking over her whole kind of face. It was, you know, it's kind of haloing her. Where when we go over to the Devante, see, I think that's a nice, it's subtle, but this is what you're looking for with filtration. You don't want to hit it so hard unless you're going for like a serious flashback and going back in time, or a period piece or something like that. We're looking at the finesse, the subtleties of something that you feel it, but it's not so really apparent. You want to feel that kind of just slight change in the contrast there. So it's taking a little of the chocolate of his skin tone out. Obviously, I could go in and, you know, warm the camera up a little bit. We're at 2,700 Kelvin right now because we wanted to take the street lights and the parking lot lights and kind of give it a cool feel for this whole Navy SEAL takedown. So we wanted to kind of embrace this kind of tonality. So I can see how it's taken some of that warmth out of his skin, but we could easily dial that back in post. But what I'm loving is that contrast on the right side of his face and how beautifully it opens that up. And then on Kira, once again, how it just softens the eyes, softens all those skin tones beautifully. All right, now let's move on the soft glow. And again, we'll go heavy. We'll go to a 4 on the soft glow. I mean, that soft glow is such a beautiful filter. I mean, I'm not losing, look, I'm not milking out the blacks at all. I mean, just slightly, but the tonality on his skin is beautiful. filling in the eyes once again with Kira. Taking that kind of harsh contrast of this, you know, LED light, okay? But I think the 4 is just a little heavy. So let's go to the 3. Look how it's barely lifting the blacks. This is beautiful, but it's doing so much on his skin of just slowly softening this contrast in this area. With Kira, let me do a little reframe. Okay, get that nice bokeh in the background. Boy, I just love the subtle, how it just softens this whole area in here. Yeah, it's great. And we move on to Devante. I just love how it's wrapping those skin tones. Oh my God. They found us. Let's get out. That's your cinematography tip of the night.